those are the things I recommend you do. Once you have new first connections, now it allows you to do other types of activities. So there's three kind of typical ones that we'll do. One is sending out a message campaign, and there's two different types of message campaigns you can use. One would be like a drip campaign after somebody's connected with you, where we're typically sending out 2 to 3 messages. The first message is just a thanks for connecting message. Very authentic. You're not selling anything. You're not even trying to help. You're just purely thanking them for the connection. If they respond, it just goes to your LinkedIn box and you carry off that conversation however you want. If they don't respond, then like 7 to 10 days later, we'll send out a second message.
Your business's success depends on relationships with customers, relationships with employees, and relationships with stakeholders. What do they all have in common? They're all human. Because no matter if your business is B2B or B2C, it's really H to H, human to human. Welcome to the Human Connection Podcast. I'm your host, Karl Pontau. Each week, I'll bring you stories, insights, and practical advice from experts that you can apply to your growing company and daily life. This week, I'm excited to connect with Colin Hirdman. Colin started his first business a week after graduating college with no business classes, no marketing degree, and no backup plan. 10 years later, he sold that company and co-founded Monkey Island Ventures with 2 of his childhood best friends, companies named after a park they played at as kids. Since then, they've built more than a dozen software and service businesses. Today, Colin is primarily focused on Rainmaker, a platform that helps founders, fractionals, business coaches, and sales teams grow their network, leads, and sales through LinkedIn without relying on luck or wishful thinking. Congrats on your impact with Rainmaker, and welcome to the Human Connection Podcast.
Thanks so much, Karl. I'm really excited about this and really excited to share what I know.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on the show because I think there's obviously you spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. We both do, and we've both been pitch slapped in the past where people connect and immediately trying to sell to you on LinkedIn. And you seem like one of the perfect people to ask about the better way to use LinkedIn to build connections and actually drive sales in a way that it is respectful and actually works, because I've never seen people that really are excited to get pitched to on LinkedIn. So what's the way you do it that's better?
Yeah, no, happy to get into that. And you're right. Really, I think my overall philosophy is definitely using education, because nobody wants to be sold on LinkedIn. But the way that I think about LinkedIn is kind of on 3 levels. So the top level is philosophy. And my philosophy on LinkedIn is really, really simple. Number one, you have to be authentic and genuine in regards to yourself as well as the brands you represent. I think that's table stakes. Most people do a good job of that. LinkedIn's not a toxic place. And that's kind of a baseline of how you should behave. The second thing is having an educational mindset, because like I said, nobody wants to be sold on LinkedIn, but most people are willing to be educated on LinkedIn, especially around pain points that they have. And then the other part of mindset is having an experimentation mindset, which is you're going to use different features and functions within LinkedIn, within the guardrails of what we can do and what LinkedIn allows us to do. And then you want to stack the things that work, table the things that don't, and maybe try them again at a later date. But using that experimentation mindset is important. And then finally, and this is where I put a lot of pressure on myself as a founder, but also anyone else that's a founder, owner, or if you sit in a sales or marketing seat, which is it's incumbent on us to understand the pains and barriers our prospects are trying to overcome. But once we understand that, then we get put in a really great position for us to figure out, okay, what is it that our prospects can learn from us? And what is it that we can teach? And I think that's where the real opportunity is on LinkedIn, is to understand what your audience can learn from you and what you can teach. And so that is my basic philosophy, is again, just being authentic and genuine, having that experimentation, education mindset, and then understanding what it is your audience can learn from you. What can you teach? Then the middle layer is, well, I'll stop there. I'll pause there before I get into that, just to see if you have any questions.
No, it makes a lot of sense that obviously the experimentation and tweaking things and seeing what works and what doesn't and tracking that data is important. And I think it's also that mindset shift of educating and adding value to those relationships is a necessary step to getting sales eventually. But because when you start a relationship by adding value, and with the way most people go about making buying decisions, they do a lot more research on their own before they even talk to a salesperson, before they even in that mindset of I'm ready to buy something. So if all your content out there is just trying to sell and sell and sell, and you're just pushing the sale before they're ready, you're just burning bridges left, right, and center. Whereas if you get known as the person they can come to when they need help with something, and you build that trust by adding value, when it comes time for them to actually make it a buying decision, you're going to be the natural choice because they've already have that connection and know that they can trust you to add value to their lives before they're even paying you. Imagine how much more valuable once they give you money. That mindset that you and the relationship you can build is a lot more valuable, because it's also going to be something that it's not just a one-time sale. It's more likely to be a long-term committed relationship on a business level that is much more valuable for everyone involved, instead of they bought it, they didn't really like it, they never came back, and they told everyone how much they didn't like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, there's a lot of points there that I think will be emphasized as I kind of talk about these next two layers. So, so that second layer then that you need to be focused on is building out an audience. And I use typically Sales Navigator to do that. Sales Navigator is the sales tool that lives within LinkedIn. I'd say about half my clients have it, the other half don't. If they don't have Sales Navigator, I'll just use mine. But what's really great about Sales Navigator is that it allows you to build out audiences with a lot of filters that regular LinkedIn search doesn't have. You can still use regular LinkedIn search to build out audiences, you just won't have the same filters. So, but it's important to really think about, who is it you want to connect with? Who is it you want to start building relationship with, and start focusing in on those specific people around building out an audience. And then the bottom layer is really activating that audience, right? And so we do that, a few kind of major ways. The number one thing that we do is build out more first connections week in and week out. So what you want is to have an ever-growing audience of people that you can build relationship with, because what it allows you to do then is to tap into that ever-growing audience over time. And one of the things you can do is also think about like verticalizing the audiences that you're connecting with. So for me, about a year and a half ago, I started focusing in on founders, business coaches, EOS implementers, fractionals, and sales executives. And across those 5 verticals, I've built out more first connections. And by having those verticals, then it allows you to kind of personalize some of the other activities that you can do. So we reach out to around 100 to 125 people a week. We do not use a connection message. You'll typically get a higher connection rate back if you don't use a connection message. And then if somebody doesn't connect within 30 days, you want to withdraw the invite. Okay, that's just good LinkedIn hygiene. So that's kind of the basics around growing that first connections and growing a larger audience week in, week out. Those are the things I recommend you do. Once you have new first connections, now it allows you to do other types of activities. So there's 3 kind of typical ones that we'll do. One is sending out a message campaign, and there's 2 different types of message campaigns you can use. One would be like a drip campaign after somebody's connected with you, where we're typically sending out 2 to 3 messages. The first message is just a thanks for connecting message. Very authentic. You're not selling anything. You're not even trying to help. You're just purely thanking them for the connection. If they respond, it just goes to your LinkedIn box and you carry off that conversation however you want. If they don't respond, then like 7 to 10 days later, we'll send out a second message. And that second message is where you really want to start providing value. Okay. It could be asking a really thoughtful question. It could be linking to a LinkedIn article you wrote, or maybe there's an asset you've built out on your website, or maybe there's a third party that has built out an asset you think they'd see as high value. But what you want to do within that message is to really have that go-giver mindset. If people listening haven't read the Go-Giver, that's really the mindset that you want to have. And don't try and sell. Just try and educate, try and provide value, and do things just for the sake of trying to help these prospects out. And so the other type of message campaign would be like just a one-off message campaign. For example, like I might want to send all the all the fractionals that I'm connected to, a specific message of something that has to do just with, people that are fractionals that I want to send a message to, right? So there's different types of message campaigns, but those are the two main ones: a drip message campaign after a new connection, and then one-off messages to different verticals or segments of your first connections. Another campaign type we like to run are LinkedIn polls, which are just kind of fun, where, again, you could target it generally, or you could target it to a specific audience or vertical that you want to ask a question to, a poll to, and then have the answers, and then be able to see who are the people that responded to the poll, what were the answers that they gave. And then one of the things that you could do is create a narrative after the poll is over, and start releasing a post. You could do a video, you could respond to the respondents one-off if you want as well, but kind of having a narrative of like, well, what's the results of the poll? Like, what does it mean? And actually having like a follow-up to what the poll results were. And then the third campaign type that we really like to run are LinkedIn live streams. And the beauty of LinkedIn live streams is that, and what I would recommend is, you want to hone in on an educational topic. So for me, there's two that I run. One is learn how to grow your network, leads, and sales using LinkedIn. And the other is learn how to do LinkedIn live streams. And those are the same kind of two topics I've been doing for over a year. And so I'm continually doing the same topic that is as valuable now as it will be 12 months from now. So what you want to do is think about a topic that you can do over and over again that will have value now and 12 months in the future, and that you can do over and over again because it saves you time. And then you're using a deck that you get really, really good at. And that deck can be used, a lot of what I'm talking about with you right now is part of that deck, right? And I'm able to talk about it very efficiently. I can use it on podcasts. I use it in my live streams. I use it when I'm doing like in-person presentations. But the great thing about LinkedIn live streams is that when you're inviting people to the live stream, you're using the LinkedIn event invite function. And that comes in as an alert. It doesn't come in as a direct message. So it's almost impossible to burn your audience out. And so these different verticals of who I'm inviting, they're getting an invite to, one of my LinkedIn live streams about once every 4 to 6 weeks. And what you'll find is that over time, if you do it consistently and doing a live stream, at least twice a month, that your network will start to see you as being a thought leader, being an expert in what you're presenting about, because you're doing the same kind of topics over and over again. You're going to get people that will have you as top of mind when they're doing referrals. So you actually see over time your referrals start to kick up. And then you'll also see that people will register for the same event multiple times, because sometimes they aren't able to make it. Other times they may want a refresher. And so LinkedIn also does a lot of heavy lifting for you as well. So when someone gets the invite in LinkedIn and then they click to go to the event page, and then if they decide to click attend, when they click attend, LinkedIn will send them a series of emails. So they'll get an email right after they click attend saying you just registered for this event, add to calendar link. And then they will get follow-up emails from LinkedIn reminding them of the event, including the morning of, right? And so LinkedIn is doing all of these marketing touches for you that you don't have to do anything with these LinkedIn live streams. And then you do the LinkedIn live stream. Mine are typically around 30 minutes. And then what I love about it is the follow-up. So you'll send a follow-up message to all of your attendees. And the follow-up message is very typical for me. It's like, hey, Karl, thanks again for registering for the LinkedIn live stream I led. Here's a link to the recording. Okay, the live stream gets saved as a recording on the event page, so you can send them that. And then I also love to have a call to action in that. And the call to action I most typically use is, if you ever want to chat LinkedIn strategy, feel free to grab a time convenient for you here. And then I give them my Calendly link. Okay. The beauty of doing the live streams and having them be educational is that when someone clicks attend, they've crossed this threshold where now they trust you enough to click attend, see you enough as a thought leader to click attend, find your topic compelling enough that they click attend. And when they cross that threshold, when you follow up with a message linking back to the event recording and then putting in like your Calendly link to book a meeting, it doesn't come across as salesy or pushy or icky in any way. It's a natural next step someone might take after having gotten some education and having learned from you through a live stream. And so that is a very direct route of how you can use LinkedIn to grow your network, to build out content, to build relationship, but then also have very direct sales functions, like asking people to book a meeting in a way that doesn't come across as salesy and really leans in well, I think, to kind of the LinkedIn ecosystem.
Yeah, I think it's something that is much more like I'm kind of alluded to earlier, and attuned to the path people are on when they're on making a buying decision, or when they're on the road to a buying decision. It's no longer a straight funnel where you're guiding them step by step through initial touch point all the way through the sale. They're doing their own research, they're looking for their own content. So if you're creating that content, getting it out there for them to find and for them to opt into without any immediate investment needed besides like time, or going like these live streams and stuff, but you approach it as adding educational value, and you have them out there enough so that, again, like you mentioned, if they don't make it there the first time, or they miss something, when they come back and watch it again, they can revisit that content. It's not like they're barred from attending again if they've seen it once. It's not like you're going to lock them out from it again. So it makes it much more relationship driven than just about driving a sale. And that mindset, that approach is felt by people when they can tell you're there to add value, and it's not just a veiled sales pitch. Because I've been to some webinar things that it's like 5 minutes of information and the rest is like a sales pitch, and you're like, well, why am I sitting through this whole thing? So just saving the last like 5 minutes for the call to action, but the rest is actually real value is important as well. And I think LinkedIn, like you mentioned, is helpful for that, because it does a lot of the heavy lifting on the emails and the follow-up and stuff, and having the recording available. So it's
well, I mean, part of what I think a lot of people consider when they use LinkedIn is like, how much time should I be devoting to it? When you're trying to think of a new post all the time and you're posting, that takes more time than what I'm talking about with these live streams, because the live stream is something repeatable, right? You're using the same content over and over again. And, when you think about a post, you might get on average, 2 to 3 seconds of people like looking at your post, right? And, what are the great indicators that you get off of a post? You might get somebody to like it, but what does that even really mean? And then, of course, people might make comments. You could read into that a bit more. But with like the live stream, LinkedIn even says you get 24 times more engagement on a live stream than you do on a post. And, the average time on a live stream, is 3 minutes. And so, and that's with all kinds of people hopping in and out of it that you never even invited, right? That's just your general network seeing that you're live because LinkedIn is sending out notifications. But the beauty of everything that I kind of laid out is it's 100% focused on your ideal client profiles, right? It's all on your ICPs. You're building out more first connections with the people that you want to do business with. And then you're using messages, polls, and live streams in ways that use that go-giver mindset and is using education. And over time, you will find that those things are really what allow you to start leveraging LinkedIn in a way to actually generate revenue.
Yeah, it is a stark difference between how much engagement and impact these live streams have compared to a solo post. So if someone was interested in getting started on applying this for their business, what's kind of a good first step for them to take?
I would follow the process that I've laid out. I mean, number one, if you don't buy into the philosophy that I've laid out, then so be it. Do it your own way. But I do think it's about education and about authenticity, and then understanding what your audience can learn from you, and then focus on who do you want to build relationship with? Who's the audience you want to start connecting with? Then start building out more first connections with those people. And then once they're a first connection, you got to activate them, right? And you got to activate them through the ways that I laid out. Those would be the most meaningful steps you could take. So yeah, I would say do what I said. Whether everything that I do in Rainmaker, clients hire me because they don't want to do all this manually, right? They want some strategy, and they also want me to take over a lot of the heavy lifting on that, which I'll do. But you can get the exact same results if you do this all yourself, or if you went with me. It doesn't matter. The process is what matters, and that's what I've laid out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for connecting with me today, Colin. If you enjoyed this episode of the Human Connection podcast, please leave a review, and share it. If you'd like to connect with myself or Colin, check out the links in the show notes. And remember, no matter if your business is B2B or B2C, it's really H to H, human to human. Happy connecting.